Welcome to the Low Carb MD podcast. No one is beyond help. No one is beyond hope.
As we have always said, we are bringing you medical information and cutting-edge science, but none of this is medical advice. Please seek out input from your own doctor.
Hello and welcome back to the Low Carb MD and Life's Best Medicine podcast. You're stuck with me. Tro's out doing fun stuff, probably with his family. And I think this is a really, really awesome guest and a really important topic, especially for me, because I'm a guy still, I guess. But it's the Men's Health series, right? Health Matters series. Tracey McBeath, welcome. All the way from across the pond on the other side of the ocean where the unwins and all the smart people are. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm here with the Feckies. The Feckies are down here in Down Under. But you have many listeners from Australia. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm thrilled. I can't wait to chat to you.
Oh, it's so great to have you, and I'm excited about what you're doing. I said, you're talking about men's health stuff. That's kind of cool. Like that's a different topic that a lot of people don't really touch base on, but you've done topics with women's health and with all kinds of stuff over time, right?
I have. So, the Low Carb Lifestyle Hub is something I created a couple of years ago. It's my second business, if you like, but it's my big picture business. So, really, I'm just so passionate about giving people more options and getting the messages of that, out there of health that we don't generally get from mainstream, right? So we don't generally go to the doctor and get the option of, well, you could change your diet. Have you considered that? So this was why I created the hub, and to really help with that, I decided, it was 2020. So it was before we went into the first lockdown, but it happened during lockdown that I ran the first women's health one. And I primarily did that because, I felt there was a real need for women's health specifically to be talked about from the perspective of women. And it was hugely successful. And I've since done 3 of those. And then it sort of occurred to me, well, again, men need a platform. It's so good for men to have the opportunity to talk about men's health for men. And so I decided to put that on. I have 4 boys. I have 5 children, 1 girl, but 4 boys. And I'm very passionate about, men, again, getting access to the right information, or all the information they need to make their own choices when it comes to optimizing their own health.
And how did you start on this journey? How did you start, getting into health and nutrition? Were you always fit? And, what's your background that drew you into this?
So, I was always thought I was healthy and fit. So I was a personal trainer for about 12 years. But when I turned 40, which is nearly 10 years ago now, I was overweight. I'd had my 4th child. I couldn't lose the weight. I'd put on about 25 kilos. And, I was trying to do what I was told to do and what I thought was right, which is, eat less and move more. And, I was training people and I was thinking, gee, this is pretty bad. I'm a pretty fat personal trainer. What's going on? Something can't be right. And I just happened to be really lucky to find one of the early low carb GPs in Melbourne who diagnosed me with fatty liver and as pre-diabetic. And I was like, what the? No, I guess looking back, I'm not surprised. It's definitely in my family: heart disease, diabetes, addiction. I've got it all in my family. So I wasn't surprised when I thought about it. But I thought, well, something's going, there's something I'm missing. Why is this going on? I've got to learn more. And I was lucky to come across Prof. Noakes and Dr. Eric Westman and all the pioneers, that just totally reversed everything for me in terms of what I believed. And that has never stopped. I haven't stopped learning. I haven't stopped being curious. Obviously put all that in remission, and then decided after a couple of years I had to get into health coaching, that I'd be able to really help people much more with this information as a health coach. And so, about 7 years ago, I started my own health coaching business, and that's grown to, now I do groups and I mentor other coaches and work with Nutrition Network, which is fantastic. And, then have on the side this big picture information platform, and I think at the end of the day, if all it is something for my family or my kids to be able to go to get the information they need, then it's worth all the effort to, putting it all together and having it up there. So the second part for me was 45. When I turned 45, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. Again, my mum has had that, and it's been reversed for her since she started, getting into low carb. My mum's been a big win for me. But yeah, I've put all that into remission. I went carnivore for about 6 months, and it was really the impetus for me to do the health journey beyond diet. So, really looking in here and looking at all the reactive stuff that I had going on that I wasn't aware about, and just sort of growing, I suppose, from and healing from the trauma that we all carry with us from, a very young age, usually in a divorce and, all the stuff that happens in life that I'd kind of just squashed and put over there. And it was time to really look at it and just heal from that. And it's been the best thing I've ever done. And that's really incorporate that into my work now. I'm a big picture, holistic. It's never just one thing. We look at everything, because that's just the most amazing journey ever.
Yeah, and I think it's so awesome what you're doing with men. First of all, I'm going to tell you, my female listeners, please don't look at her. Don't look at the video here. Don't look at her picture. She's 52 or so.
Nearly 50.
They're not going to.
Nearly 50.
Oh, nearly 50. Okay, good. When you said
Yeah.
12, I was trying to do the math in my head. So, that's why I'm a doctor, not a math major, but nearly 50 and 5 kids, like they're not going to like you, right?
Oh, but
No,
I'm
you're
really
a pretty
nice,
nice
I
person.
promise.
I think they'll overlook that you look so young. It's ridiculous, but we'll try not to be jealous of you because you're doing great work.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I looked older at 35 than I do now, but isn't that funny? The diet and healing and learning how to live a pretty magical life just from being grateful and accepting of what you've got. And I think that's the elixir of I don't know.
Yeah,
Benjamin
counting your blessings and enjoying life and having fun and helping people along the way. I find
Yeah.
that as a common denominator of a lot of people in the community who are out helping people. They're solid in their views, and they don't really need to have everyone love them or agree with them. They kind of have this foundation, like the Fetkes, were able to step out and what they went through, and Noakes and all these people that, my goodness, and honestly, I've spoke at a lot of conferences, but I haven't seen a lineup like this. I was like, now when I was looking, I was like, wow, this is intimidating, but the other thing, it's really important, like you're saying, the emotional traumas, life stuff that we've been through, that men are not very good at tapping into that and reflecting on it and reaching out and connecting with other men sometimes.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it is something that we have to have the courage to confront, this conditioned cultural belief that, we have to just get up and get on with it. I mean, we can do that, but we also need to acknowledge what's going on. And that just takes a bit of courage, and know that, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. In fact, it's a strength if you do that, because it's going to change your life and turn the trajectory of your life around. It is all about this courage, to stand true to who you are. And it's interesting what you say, being confident with your message. I that's a lot of the work I do with my clients, because so often, they want to change their lifestyle, but they may not have the support of their family or their friends. I mean, we've all got that. And I think that's just the reality of it. But, that's okay. I think it's saying, well, you don't really need anybody to do what you're doing. It takes courage to, go against that. But if you really stay true to you, but just keep the space open, you don't push what you do on anyone. I don't push anything on anyone. I never tell anyone what to do. My job is just to put all the cards on the table and just show the options, and then help them just to decide what's going to work for them. But yeah, if you're confident with that, you allow people to come to things at their own time, and you can't force anyone to see something they're not ready to see. But that connection, that's what I'm so passionate about. And I think that's why I've been able to create such incredible connections, because I allow people to be who they are. I'm curious about what they see. I don't expect people to see it the way I do. And I certainly don't get offended if someone sees it differently to me. I'm curious as to why that is. It's like we all have this little window, right, that we see the world through based on our own experiences and thoughts and beliefs and cultural expectations we've taken on. So I look through mine, but I'm really curious as to what yours looks like. So I want to come around and see it from your perspective. And if we can do that, people, their defenses drop and really their hearts open, and you can connect with anyone. You really can. And I think that's the beauty of understanding when you heal yourself. When we heal ourselves, we do heal the world. We so often want to go out there and try and change everything out there, but it starts within here, and then that impact just flows onto every single person you have contact with. Whether it's the guy you buy your coffee from and you're going to smile at them and really ask them about how their day is and be interested. Instead of, head down, rushing around, just everyone's in my way. It's like, well, life's pretty crap when you're kind of living from that. But if you have a look up and you're curious and you're interested, and it's pretty magical. It's pretty magical.
Yeah, it's amazing. We can always find common ground. I have friends of all beliefs and all different ideas and diets and different exercise. And, I think once you connect with people on a human level, then they know you're a decent person and you can accomplish things. You don't have to agree on everything. It's okay,
Absolutely. And I do think that's actually a gift, because maybe there's something in what they see that can help you too, like the minute, human beings are so, we want to know everything. We want to think we know, because that is the illusion of comfort, but it is an illusion. And when we can see that actually, you know what, we're just lifelong learners. And yeah, you might look like you got it all together, and I might look like I've got it all together, but I so don't. I'm just doing the best I can. I'm a human being too. I make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. So, just putting it in that human perspective is just, yeah, I know, it's pretty cool. And you just give things a go. And if they work, they work. If they don't, well, they don't, but you've learned something, and, it can't take away your innate well-being. It's just life.
So what possessed you to get all these guys together to give talks? It's hard, huh? Tracking us down, and doctors
Oh.
and experts around, everyone's busy, and it's hard to pin them down.
Yeah, I feel like the shepherd, trying to corral sometimes, but that's all part of it. I totally understand that. People are busy. I get it. I think I might have said this to you as well when we recorded our chat. I'm not pushy. That's not my innate, I'm not like that. And I've been definitely conditioned to fear rejection from a lot of that. So I tend to kind of sit back a little bit. So I've had to step over a lot of those just to say, look, just in case you've forgotten, just popping in here just to remind you. But so, if you don't want to, you don't want to, that's absolutely fine. But as I said, I think it's just the fact that getting a group of guys together who have so much to share. And, I've wanted this to be from the heart. I've wanted people to be able to come and just really share, well, what have been the light bulb moments for you? How has your view of health changed? But why does health matter? We don't really stop and think sometimes. I think everyone innately values health. How could you not? But we get so traumatized by being told the wrong information that doesn't work for us. We think, oh, it's all too hard and I can't do it. It's not for me. I'm just going to not even think about it until, we get a diagnosis or we have a heart attack or something happens. And we're like, okay, maybe I better take notice of it, because to me, health is everything, because it underpins everything we want in life. I can't do the things I want to do in life if I don't have health. And I can't do things that, to the extent. So I'm not just interested in just living. I want to thrive, and I want to have all the people around me thrive as well. And if we don't have good metabolic health and good energy systems and have access to all that incredible energy in our body, we're overcome by the difficulties of it and the thoughts that come up. That make everything look so hard. And, it just looks too easy to sit on the couch and just binge watch Netflix, as opposed to going out there and being in the community and doing things with your family and other people that actually do take us towards the life we want.
Yeah, I think that's where people get joy, interacting with other people. And we went through, I know you had it harder than we did, I think, in Australia with the lockdowns and, not be able
Melbourne,
to.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, I was surprised. I don't know how, if it was what we were seeing over here in the States. I was like, wow, that's a really, when you take away community, you take away the ability to go work out with people or just smile or laugh or, hug someone. It was really a hard time for a lot of people. And I have a lot of patience. I just met someone today that, she gained 40 pounds during that time, just being stressed and locked down, wasn't able to go into the office. So she had to be at home all the time. It's pretty devastating.
Yeah, it was devastating. I mean, we had lockdowns in Melbourne. Melbourne was the worst in the world in terms of the lockdowns. I mean, certainly in Australia, Sydney had about 6 months, but we had it on and off for 2 years. And it was traumatizing, and it's going to take a long time for people to really, overcome the trauma. What kind of happened is most people went in. And for me, I have to be honest, and, it was a massive time of growth. And I wrote a book. I did a lot of really great things in that time because I saw that I couldn't control, the decisions of the government. I can only control my reaction to it. So, my husband lost his 30-year martial arts business, and he was home for a year and tried another business. Then we went into another lockdown. That didn't work again. And, there was everyone was confronted with challenges. And I think, what's got us through is that we have such a deep connection to our belief in who we are and what we do and ourselves, that we knew we would get through it and we work it out. And I mean, I loved having him home. He got to look up, do the homeschooling. I kept working. We also decided we would train outside in the backyard as often as we could. So, we came out actually mind and body fitter than a lot of other people. And that was really all that came down to, is everyone did the best they could with the awareness and the knowledge that they had. But, now it's, I see people, I walk around or I go for a run and there's still so many eyes downcast, and I just say hi and look at people and smile. And if that's all you can do to others, that does shift people a little bit out of their, their world of thinking. So I have hope. I love human beings. I have huge hope in the potential for us to heal, and we've got many challenges that are going to come our way, but I believe just 1,000% in the ability of humans to get insight and to have wisdom and to connect with their strengths within. And yeah,
Yeah,
it's just time
I think these are things that, just today, I was thinking, man, this is a great compliment. But one of my patients, she's doing great. It took her a while. She was struggling a bit. And she's always like, okay, next week, we're going to get this. We're going to be more strict. We're going to figure this out. But she's been doing fantastic. And she's so proud of herself. And she said, Doc, thank you for believing in me and not giving up on me, even when I gave up on myself. And she said, I gave up on myself. I was done. And then just you being kind and nice. So you start realizing we need each other. Like you walking by someone, and I noticed that so many times you walk by and just smile or wave to someone, or acknowledge that they're there, and then they brighten up and they'll smile. They may look grumpy, but then they brighten up and will say hi back to you, or they're surprised that you're saying hello to them or something,
Yeah, totally. I think it, knowing that it's hurt people that hurt people. People don't mean to do, horrible things to other people, but you have to understand that we project out into the world what we live in inside. So if we've got hurt and pain that we've not acknowledged or dealt with, that tends to get spewed out onto the world. So, and that often, or we retract. So that looks like, well, I'm not going to acknowledge anybody because then I won't get rejected. I won't feel more pain. A lot of that's not conscious thought, but that's kind of how we deal with it and build into it. But it just takes one person like yourself, to believe in someone, to then show them, actually, you know what, maybe I can do this. And maybe I'm not as broken as I think I am. I don't think anyone's broken. I just think we need insight and awareness and reconnection. And the best job in the world, hey, being able to give that gift back to somebody else, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and just to learn from each other. So in that note, well, first of all, what was the name of your book?
Well, my book's called You Have Today, 100 Insights That Could Change Your Life. So can I tell you how I came to that? Because I never planned to write a book.
No, absolutely.
So it must have been June or July. I don't know, the years have just sort of melded a little bit with the last couple of years. I think it was 2021. It must have been last year. And we're about to go into our 6th or 7th lockdown, which was only supposed to be 2 weeks, but we knew it would be 6 months. And I really sort of felt the anguish of what everyone was going through. And again, myself as well, homeschooling four kids, because my first had finished school in 2020, but here
We're
we
all
go
5
again.
kids. You were all locked down together, 5?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and
For
a husband.
2020, my son was doing his VCE, which is final year. And so then he finished and he took off. He was going to go to Europe, but couldn't go to Europe, but he took off around Australia and he hasn't come home, my boy, but he's having a great time and living a great life. So I'm very proud of him. But yeah, so we were going into this lockdown again. I thought, you know what, I've got a bit of an Instagram following and been doing it for about 7 years. And I thought, I'm just going to show up each day on Instagram and just share some insight, just share something I see about the true potential that we have as a human being. So I did that. I was going to do it for a year, but I got to day 100 and I looked at it and I'm like, there's a book. There's a book there. So I took it all off. I said, hey, I'm going to put this together as a book. And I did. And if I'd have sat down, I thought, okay, I've got to write a book, I probably would have been all up in my head and I wouldn't have been able to do it. But doing it that way, it was so authentic from the heart. I didn't plan any of it. I just allowed myself each day to sit in a space of just seeing what came up, and I shared that. And that's what it is. It's my heart on a platter. It's my healing journey. It's what I show my clients where to look in terms of really seeing something about healing, because health to me is not obviously just about what we eat. Yes, a lot of what I focus on is that, because it is a very important foundation puzzle piece. But it is all these other things. It is our reactions and our emotions and how we can deal with things. But again, so many are just so disconnected with what's possible and what is innate, within us, because this helpful, amazing tribal brain constantly finds threats and, looks for the negatives. And we have to really see that's just what the brain does. That's his job. But, that's one option. Most people live in their head and just follow what their brain says, as opposed to saying, okay, well, there's one option, but I'm just going to wait a moment and see whether there might be some other options available to me. And the way we work is this, there's always something else going to come through. And, then aligning what we do in life with not our thinking, not what other people want us to do, not with what our mom wants us to do or our partner, but with us, with our heart, with our values, with what matters to us. If we can do that, as I said, life just, we feel much more connected. We have a compass. We don't feel like we're drifting and being pushed and swayed and pulled along by, what everyone else wants of us. It just reconnects us to that compass, to guide us.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And also, just thinking what your husband went through during this time, the stress, and you build something and you invest and you put your blood and tears and you have so many memories, and then it's out of your control. There's nothing you can do. And it's, 30 years of hard work. It's like, man, that is, I walked away from a practice after 18 years and that was hard to do. Well, it wasn't that hard. In retrospect, it was the best thing I ever did. But you just go financial freedom, there's certain benefits, but when the pain outweighs the benefit, you start saying, okay, I gotta look elsewhere. But, emotionally for him, being disconnected from other guys and not being able to go out and, do whatever sports he wants to do, that is really traumatic for people.
Yeah, it is. But, the spiritual strength in the martial arts is pretty amazing. I mean, we've been together. So he was my second husband. So I've had 5 kids, not because I wanted 5 kids, but I was married quite young. I had 3 kids with my first husband. And then I actually made the decision to walk away from the marriage. I had kids that were 2, 4, and 6. Most people would think, what the, you crazy woman? He's actually a doctor. Like, he's a really, very great provider. But I knew that I'd wanted more. And I made that choice to walk away. And
yeah, no one wants to be married to a doctor. I have my poor wife. My goodness, I don't know how she survived all these years.
Oh dear, I think they're incredible. But anyway, I met someone totally different to my first husband, who's my now love of my life and my partner I adore, and we've been together 13 years. Have 2 little boys of our own, and he's taught me so much about this. I mean, he saw in me so much that I had no idea about. So the way he manages life is incredible and inspiring. And yeah, that happened to him. But you know what? He's not afraid of adversity. He's not afraid of doing the hard things. He's not afraid of confronting challenges. And I think that that's actually something that so many of us are. And we look to then, you know, push it away or run away from it through these easy to access addictive foods, drink, drugs, and different things like that. And I think if we can see that, you know, life is about challenges. Life isn't meant to be easy. I'm not sure where we got that idea that it's supposed to be easy. It never is. But when we accept that and then say, well, you know what? I will deal with anything that I actually have the courage to confront. So he actually had the most incredible time being home looking after the kids. You know, it was something that he'd never had the opportunity to do before. So he stepped up into that role. He ended up having spinal surgery as well during that time. He, you know, years of fighting. And I mean, he won the Australian Martial Arts Championship for, you know, many years. He's obviously got a bit of damage there over the years. So he had time out to get that done as well. And, but now he's, you know, he's working a job now actually in traffic management because he will do whatever he needs to do to provide for the family. But next year he's going to do Mark Sisson's primal health coaching course and build in some life coaching. I tried to get him into the men's summit, but he goes, I'm not ready, babe. Next year I'll do it for you, because he's just got so much to offer men. And yeah, so that was my husband. I forgot what the question was, sorry, but
No, that's it. Just going through that and him going through all that, and how do you have the resilience to keep going on, you know? And I think having that loving family support, knowing what matters, you kind of start looking at, really, you start reassessing what really matters. And I, you know, for me, I had to go through that also, you know, saying, okay, I can't work 18-hour days every day. I got to go home sometimes. I want to be home, see my neighbors, go hang out sometimes and do things at home. And, you know, you realize a lot of us are slaves to our profession or our job or our calling. And I see a lot of people who are miserable, that just, you know, they're just a hostage to their situation, you know. And as a matter of fact, a good friend of mine is a multimillionaire. He doesn't have to work, and he works, and he loves the challenge. He loves, and I said, you know, one day I said, why do you keep doing it? You don't need to work. I mean, he goes, but I love the problem solving. I love certain things. He loves what he does. And I said, if you lost all your money, what would you do? And he says, I'd just make it back again. Right? Like he no big deal. You lose it all and he goes, I've done this. He went through a divorce and lost a lot of money too. And he goes, you know, you just kind of make it back again, or you do whatever. And so the same thing as a lot of us believe, if we get knocked off track, we're never going to recover, instead of saying, okay, it's a bump in the road these 3 years, you know, despite of how bad it was, there was a lot of good that comes out of it. And in your book, it sounds like in your growing process, you know, maybe it made you slow down in order to focus on what you need to fix.
Yeah, that's slowing down. You know, it's so important to do that every now and again and ask yourself those questions. I'll tell you, I'll give you a little bit of a something that I recorded with Dr. Tony Hampton in our chat for the Men's Summit. So we were talking about, he shared about a book. It's actually an Aussie book. I can't believe I'd never heard of it, and I've got it now. But it's called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And it was this lady, was in this job that she hated, and, you know, just for a bank or something. And she decided she wanted to do something more with her life. And she went around and actually put herself in, you know, helping people in palliative care, went around to different houses. And her name's Bonnie Ware. So if you want to look it up, it's a brilliant book. And
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, so she sat with people who were dying. And many, you know, and she looked after them. She wiped their bottom. She actually cared for them, but she got to know them and connected with them. And they all shared with her the many regrets I think that they had, that they knew that they couldn't get life back. And she collated it all and put it into a book. And she saw there were 5 that came out of that, 5 big ones that all of them had. And one of them was, you know, really working in a job. I wish I hadn't worked so hard, but it wasn't working hard, because there's nothing wrong with working hard, but working in a job that we don't love, and that doesn't give us joy and doesn't, you know, fulfill, but just constantly takes us away from our family. That was one of them. And, you know, the other one, the first one, which is what I talk about all the time, and we've touched on, is that having the courage to, I wish I'd lived a life that I wanted to live, not a life that others wanted me to live. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's that just focuses on, and on doctors. I was just reading 68% of doctors want to quit it and do another job, like get out of it. And you think, wow, it's like they went in there they sacrificed so much in money and time and holidays with the family, all those things. And then they're looking saying, what am I doing? Now what I find is a lot of the doctors I say on your list are people who said, you know what, I'm going to get my priorities right. And I'm going to focus on what really matters. And those seem to be the happiest people on earth. And when I see these guys at conferences, they're just there's a different mindset, and they want to share everything they know, and not hold things to themselves and not teach you and say, I learned this, you go figure it out yourself, that type of thing.
Yes, I love that. And it's so true. It's amazing how many doctors in the space are just, that's what it's like. I mean, they haven't necessarily changed the way, some of them haven't left their practice or done anything differently, apart from they've just brought in this opportunity to actually heal people. They've been able to show people things like nutrition and, lifestyle as being such a massive part of health. And instead of actually putting people on medication, and then just having them come back and dosing them and all that stuff, which is, over time, the doctors I've spoken to so many on my podcast as well over the years, it's like, you're just doing nothing. You feel like you're not really helping people. So that's that disconnect that I think that we don't want to live with that for very long. We want to acknowledge that and look at that and think, okay, well, what can I do? And for many of these doctors, understanding low carb and nutrition and, lifestyle has been life changing for the way they practice, because now they're getting people off medications, and what joy that's, bringing into the way they practice. And yeah.
Absolutely. And I can attest to that for sure. I enjoy what I do. I really do. I love it. My patients are great, so, and they want to be healthy. They're invested. So when we're all invested in getting better, then we could work as a team. We could really build something, a community too.
Yeah. But who doesn't want to get better? This is the thing, it's just people need to know. This is my deep drive, my driver. As I said, I can't change anyone. I can't tell anyone what to think, but I'm so passionate about people just having access. There's so many barriers for people having access to the right information to make, their choices. And in the 10 years I've been in the space, it's grown huge. I mean, it's definitely, this groundswell. Which is amazing. And, I've got a great group in Melbourne, Low Carb Melbourne. I started up with a GP and a nutritionist and a couple of health coaches. I said, hey, come on, in lockdown. I said, let's start up a bit of a support group online. And it's grown pretty big now. We have community events. And from that, the GP, Dr. Avi Charlton, she was in like a standard 10-minute practice, coughs, colds, dry, all this stuff. And she's like, I want to get out, I want to do something else. So she's created the Melbourne low carb clinic now, and everything's just changed for her. We recently had an information night there where we all talked and shared, what we'd seen about health and healing, and she's just loving it. When, there was a moment there, she was just like, no, I think I just want to throw it all in and do something else. But
yeah, and that's when you start seeing like Dr. Unwin, who I mentioned at the beginning. For some reason, I thought you had moved to the UK for some reason, but I'm behind the times.
It's McBeath. They say it's a Scottish name, but we've been in Australia for a while.
But what a loss. He was ready to be done. His story is fantastic. We just had him on the pod. If anyone hasn't listened, go back and listen to on Low Carb MD and Life's Best Medicine. He was done. He was burned out. He wasn't helping anyone. He was just ready to walk away, and the strength of all these people that you have. So tell people who don't know some of the things that you were impressed with of speakers at the conference, or where something kind of clicked with you, or you think is going to resonate with men.
Well, I was thinking about that before we started recording, and it's going to be very hard for me to pinpoint a few, other than to say that I wish every male on the planet could sit and watch this. To me, this is health on a platter. You know, you are getting the most incredible information from the heart, from people who have been there, who've done it, who've had the light bulb moments. And I think that was probably the most favorite question that I asked was, and I'm not in it, you won't see my face in the summit, so it's only the guys. My editing skills is getting really good.
Yeah, but you asked a lot of questions that were great, and so that was easier than me trying to come up with a talk. So I felt really comfortable, and I really enjoyed doing it, you know, talking with you. And you're great at interviewing, obviously, and, you know, put people at ease. That's a huge thing.
Yeah, so it was really good. It was some of the people decided to do their own presentation, so there are a few in there. So Prof Noakes, you know, what can I say? I mean, he could talk for hours. I would just sit and be mesmerized and listen to him. He's incredible. We had a Dr. Alex Petruszewski, who's actually a GP in Sydney, but he's passionate about cancer. So his talk is about, you know, what are his 10 best tips to preventing cancer for guys. You know, we've got Dr. Pran, who is a gastroenterologist here in Sydney, and you know, he's got some pretty confident and heart-centered views on what people need to see. Obviously yourself, Philip Ovadia, the heart surgeon. You see, the light bulb moments. What were your light bulb moments? So I wanted to know how you went from seeing health as this to what you now see it now, because with human beings, we tend not to change till we get confronted with a real push in the back to do it. And of course, once we've done that, we're like, hey, you know, you don't need to go through what I'm going through. Listen to this. But still, I think there has to be some sort of driver and impetus to get that. So that's why when we hear people's stories, people can sit there for a moment and go, hey, that sounds like me. I so resonate with that. And, you know, you said, Brian, you know, I've struggled with my weight my whole life, my entire life. Well, how many people are that's going to resonate with? So what did you see from that? And how did you know, what did you learn and what did you put into practice? And what were the barriers? What were the things that you found really difficult that you can share with others so that they can sort of get through it quicker than maybe what you did? And then,
yeah, I think that's so important, is be able to sit back and reflect and say what really matters, you know, all those things that we're talking about, and on all these lists of people I've seen. And the amazing thing is, so many of these guys I've sat down and just had a conversation about whatever life, what matters. And, you know, Eli Jarouge, I see him there. He's a real good guy who's really changed his life from being a hospitalist, working crazy. And I remember at the beginning of COVID, he took so much heat because he said, here's what I'm seeing getting sick in the hospital. And they said, well, you're shaming people. He's like, this is what I'm seeing. I want to help people. And, you know, just, I had to come to I didn't know who he was. I go, look, this guy's being honest and telling you what he's seeing. And so he's done some great things too. And he's helping a lot of people. I see him very active on Twitter now and doing good things.
Yep. And
David Wolf,
was great.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Addiction.
David. Yep. That's right. Because it's you know, the reality of the modern world is that, you know, if corporations don't get you addicted to their products, they're not going to make money, and the guy in marketing is going to get fired, or the people in marketing are going to get fired. They have to be addictive. And they, you know, you and I know, and probably many of your listeners know, how much billions of dollars get spent on that. So the modern world's not going to change. You know, we're not going to go back. We're not going to go back to tribal. Well, maybe we will at some point, but it won't be my lifetime and, you know, your lifetime. We have to learn the tricks, and we have to, you know, not get hooked by it. And I think, you know, all that sort of stuff is so important to understand, and we can absolutely overcome a lot of that. And part of that comes when we hear how other people have done it. You know, when we put aside the way we think it should be, or the way what we know, and just show up. You know, that'd be one thing I'd say. You know, I'd love you all to sign up. You can watch it for free for a limited time, or if you know, it's 49 Australian, which is probably like 2 cents in the US dollar. It's not much to have access to these talks and watch them with nothing on your mind. Just come and show up and watch them, and you will be amazed at the insights you'll get from, you know, what these guys share. I mean, Eric Westman, oh my goodness, what a thrill to be able to sit and talk to him, one of the pioneers in this space. And, you know, just great people, as you say, that just want to help people and just want to share. Their knowledge isn't behind a brick wall. you know, they've come along to this, they've said yes, and they've openly shared what they know. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they're a wealth of information and experience. Bronson Dant, I got to spend some time with him in Utah. We were at a conference together and got to know him. Like, what are you doing talking to us? And, his story is amazing and what he's done to transform his life. I looked at him and thought, this is a guy who's been fit his whole life, never had trouble. And then you start realizing, we go through those moments.
Yes. And isn't that interesting? Because the same with Dr. Anthony Chaffee, like he's in Perth, American in Perth. A lot of people will know who he is now. But, like people, you watch your judgments, because I see comments all the time, or you've never had to struggle, or you've never, you're on gear, you're doing this, you're doing that. Well, actually just set aside all your judgments and understand everyone's got a story, and nobody gets to where they are without going through the hard times and having the struggles. And, I just think it is human nature that we want to jump in and judge, but it really limits what we learn when we do that. And Bronson, he reached out to me actually to be on my podcast, but I'm not doing the podcast anymore because I'm doing the summits. And but it was around the time I was organizing it, and I'd never connected with him. I'd never even heard of him. And I just said to him, hey, look, I'm not doing the podcast anymore, but would you be interested in being a part of this? And he's like, oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, he put something together for me, and well, for all of you, not for me. And it's amazing. It's amazing.
How about Peter Bruckner?
Oh, Peter is he lives just about 20 minutes from me. I love Peter Bruckner. Can I tell you how I got in contact with Peter years ago? And it was actually through my ex-husband. This is what people can do for people. So my ex-husband's a sports medicine doctor, but he's not in the low carb space. And I had just started my first little podcast. It was actually called The Nourished Mum Life at first. This was 5 years ago. And I had no idea what I was doing. I'd got onto YouTube and just said, how do you start a podcast? I'm like, right. I learned from YouTube. YouTube is amazing to learn from, by the way. And I thought, like I'd interviewed a couple of people that I'd started to connect with. And I really need someone that's got a little bit of, a following. So I said to my ex-husband, I said, hey, I'm doing this podcast. He knew where I was heading and what I was doing. And I said, is there any chance you could say something to Peter and see if he might be? Yep, no problem. So he connected me with Peter Bruckner, and he came on my podcast, and, his story is phenomenal as well. And for someone like him, who's had the experience of working with Liverpool, the Australian cricket team, and all the incredible work he's done in his life. And he is the most generous and kind and, giving and humble human being. One of the ones, there's many now, but he's just awesome, and he will do anything. Anytime I want to I ask him for something, not a problem. Yep, absolutely, Tracey, no problem. Lovely guy.
Yeah, I got to be on a conference with him. It's just such an honor, just to answer questions like, oh, am I answering it right, guys? Look at this. Professor Noakes, one of the nicest people on earth. Also, the determination and the strength where they're not looking for a fight, but they're not going to back down from it. Don't back these guys into a corner, because they'll smile at you and then they'll let you know how it really is in life. That's what I love, that quiet strength.
Yes. That quiet strength, I call it, a quiet courage. And that's something that we all have to tap into to get on with life and do it the way we want to do it, and be confident in what we believe, but also be open. See, we have to open ourselves to new beliefs. I mean, look at what Prof. And so from Peter heard about Prof having obviously his epiphany that, oh, hey, it's not all about the carbs. And he's like, well, I really respect and know this guy's really smart. So I have to there's something I've got to hear in this. So I have to put aside my own beliefs for a moment and just allow myself to see if there's anything in here worth looking at. And, it takes a huge amount of courage and strength to do that. But so Peter, if I could just put a little plug in for what he's doing here in Australia with Defeat Diabetes Australia. So he retired. I mean, he's 70, yet, he said to me, Tracey, I could buy a sports car, if I really wanted to. But he goes, no, I want to put my money into something that as a legacy that I really know is going to help people. And how much he's copped and the, what he has to go through and has gone through to get credibility to put this platform out there. So it's an online platform. People can join it from anywhere, and just get the support and the help and the information, you know, like Averta Health, I guess, in terms of reversing diabetes or preventing it. And, you know, I know he's put personally so much of his own money into doing this, and I will help and respect and show up and support anything that he does. You know, it's pretty cool.
And another face I see here, Vic Basmajian.
Yes,
He's been a huge. I was actually really happy to see him there. He's been a huge support of both of my podcasts, and you know, he's followed us from the beginning, and he's had some great life experiences, and just a really good person.
Yeah, well, you know, I have to put in a plug for my beautiful friend Tia Reid here, who I know will be the first to listen to this podcast when it comes out.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's been a great support, and she connected us actually, so that was really nice. And she's a very nice person.
She's sunshine in human form. So Tia and I connected through the Nutrition Network, through the coach certification program that I was so, oh my God, so thrilled to be involved in. Huge amount of imposter syndrome, being asked to sort of be involved and put something like that together. But I stepped over all of that and did all that and got to connect with Tia and many other people. But Tia and I have been sisters in another life. I know that. And I just had to say to her, look, I'm thinking of doing this. And she goes, I'm going to reach out to these people that I know. So on her end, she's in the US, here in Australia. And, you know, she did that. And, you know, that's how I think it's become. It was a combined effort for it to become as pretty amazing as it is. And yeah, you know, connections are just everything. They're just everything in life. It's just, you know, like, what a joy. If I'd never, you know, I don't know. I just don't second guess yourself. Just go for it. Just give it a go. You know, she said she was nervous reaching out to you and to other people and asking you, but you know, the potential benefit just outweighs it. Step beyond it and do it.
Yeah.
What are they going to say? No,
you even got the big guy. One of my heroes, Ben Bickman. Yeah, he's a busy guy and he's crazy and, you know, running around doing stuff, saving the world.
He is, but he's not too. So he's like you, Brian. I said to Tia after I'd finished our chat, I was like, oh, thank you so much. What an awesome guy. You know, your energy and, you know, you're like Ben. You're in terms of, I've talked to Ben a couple of times on my podcast before.
He'll get it. Don't attack Ben that way.
This, so. Just, you know, like you, Ben, all of these guys, you know, you've got nothing to prove, you know, and if you can help people and you've got the time to do it, and you will. And, you know, yeah, Ben's chat was like all of your chats. It was just really, really amazing. And we went to depths, and I asked questions that I know that he hasn't been asked before. And, you know, he'll answer honestly. And, as I said, it's a gift that they've shown up and just shared what they've shared. So please sign up, get on it.
Yeah, guys, look, I mean, there's so much wisdom, the wisdom of just looking at these guys. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, I'm excited for you to get all these. I'm excited to watch these talks. Really. I hope you're going to let me see those.
Of course.
Other guys.
So you guys get it. Well, I've still got a lot of work to do today.
If it's 2 cents in the United States, that's good. Yeah, for sure. But no matter what, I'm saying honestly, but no matter what the cost, because these guys, I'll tell you, Ben Bickman is one of my heroes in life. And the reason I'm so indebted to him is I had one of these life moments. I'm in Denver and we're at a conference together. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's Ben Bickman at the gym, me and him, no one else. I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to talk to him? I didn't know him. So we started talking, got into a conversation. He's such a nice, kind, decent person. And, you know, I say, hey, Ben, look, and at that time I'm working 18-hour days, stressed out all the time, not sleeping, you know, never taking a day off, just working all weekend, everything. And I go, Ben, look, if I want to live a long life, what do I got to do? And he goes, oh, Brian, that's easy. 5 things. He goes, number 1, right? Don't work yourself to death and be stressed out. I was like, oh, there's only 5. Yeah. Number 2, get enough sleep. I was like, I don't like your rules, Ben. These are not very good for me. And he goes, that's why doctors die before everyone else. But that was a take-home message, right? And then, you know, exercise regularly, eat real food, don't smoke or drink to excess. You know, all these things that are so simple 5 things, like that's what you have control over. So, these things that people are so free at offering up, and so many guys, maybe you listen and say, well, I'm good at one of them, but not this one, but I need to work on this one, and so we can kind of realize what matters, and so many people are broken because of that, because they just don't really, they're going through the motions that, like, I was on a treadmill going too fast. I knew I could do it for now, but I couldn't do it for 25 more years. It just wasn't going to work for me or my family. So you start realizing, okay, is the money the important thing, or did I go into med? And I really had to question myself and say, is it the money? What really matters? Prestige or like power or having a nicer car than the guy next door? Does any of that stuff really matter when you break it down? Because like you said, when you're dying of cancer and you're on your deathbed, you don't say, well, I had the nicest car 20 years ago and no one even likes that car anymore.
It's so true. It's so true. And if you don't ask the questions of yourself, you won't ever get insight as to whether there's another way. That's the courage. That's the first step. Just slowing down enough to see, is this really the direction I want to go in? And, if just asking that question of yourself. So we just don't do it, and all of a sudden we wake up and we're 70. We're like, oh yeah, now I thought I was going to retire. But now I'm sick, I'm on medication, I'm a sleep apnea machine, I've got this, that, and the other, I can't travel. And,
Yeah, intervene
sorry,
before it's a problem. Don't wait till it's
yeah.
a problem, then want to fix it,
No, you can do that at any time. And, just that connection of an understanding, a massive, massive, massive part, I think, is seeing that, yeah, all that stuff out there is cool. Yeah, of course we want the nice house and the car. And, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think that we do, we enjoy that stuff. But that stuff, that's not the true stuff. You can have this in here and be connected with this in here and know that none of that actually brings you prestige, or it doesn't bring you what you think it brings you. It just feeds the ego a little bit, but really it's about this and the connection within here. And then all of that stuff is just fun. And that way, if you do lose it, like my husband did, you're still okay. And you're okay, and you'll just get back up. And like that mate of yours, you'll just get back up and you'll start again.
Up from the ashes, right? Like you had to
the
do.
Phoenix. Woo.
Surviving from being locked down with 5 kids and a husband. Oof. You're tough.
I don't
You're
know
tough.
how I did it.
Yeah, well, there was a joke, the guy, they were asking this guy, they go, okay, there's 2 things you could do during the lockdown. A, you could lock down with your wife and kids for like the next 6 months. B, and the guy said, B. And he said, you don't even know what B is. I'm taking B. I'm going to take my chances. I'm not doing A. But, B, I mean, we make jokes about it, but that was a hard thing for a lot of people. And a lot of people were drinking and, domestic abuse. And, it was a horrible thing for a lot of people who weren't solid in what they believed, or, being able to reach out and have community. We're seeing the devastation of those things. So that's why it's so great you're building community with men, that we really need to step up and really help each other up, and help each other, because guys we're so for us to get counseling or for us to get help from another guy, it's really tough, because we want to do it all on our own and say, I got this, I figured it out, but to have all these little, because as doing a podcast, I get a little nugget from Dr. Unwin, a little nugget from this person, Gary Fetke, whoever it is, Tony Hampton, all these people I look at, I've taken something and they've made my life better, and so for other guys who maybe this is new to them, this is such a great thing. Or if you have friends or family, or your boss will be nicer if they're taking care of themselves, or your coworkers. So how do guys find you? How do they get to the summit?
So, well, hopefully you'll be able to put in the Low Carb Lifestyle Hub website, which is just lowcarblifestylehub.com. If you go there, I mean, that has a direct link to the summits, all the summits. So we've done a low carb for beginners as well. We've done obviously the women's health ones, and now the men's one. But also on there, you have access to just FAQs, lots of information. If you've got questions, how do I start? What is it? What's insulin resistance? What does metabolic health mean? What happens here? all these sort of common questions people will have. All that's there. There's a blog. Plus I have connected global coaches. So there's coaches, there's, some dietitians, and, just people that, from around the world, really, that, you can reach out to. And I think the best thing about if you could say there was any best thing about lockdown, well, we got to really see that connection can happen wherever you are, and most people now will work virtually. So if you find someone and listen, in the summit that you really resonate with, reach out to them and connect to them, and I guarantee you they'll help you, or they'll be able to direct you to what you need to get to the help that you need. So that's the hub. But obviously, if you are interested in and resonate with any of the stuff I do, this is I'm the I suppose I've got a global reach too with the work I do in terms of healing. I'm called the Health and Healing Coach on Instagram, and we've got my book and my programs as well. So, my website, Tracey McBeath, not Macbeth, not Macbath, but McBeath. .com.au. So that's an Aussie one. You're welcome to go on there, and same, I have heaps of information on there for free, just if you're curious, and be curious, stay curious. Don't ever think because the minute you do, you'll close yourself off to learning more, and just hop on and explore. And if something grabs you, great.
Yeah, and I think, guys, you have an opportunity of either sitting there and watching reruns of a Netflix show you've already seen, or you can learn from all the great experts around and change your life. That's the challenge, I would say. It's like, if we can waste a lot of time. I'm good at wasting time on Twitter. Don't tell my wife. She catches me on Twitter sometimes, but she's my filter too. So she makes sure I don't get myself into too much trouble. But, I really saying, hey, how do I want to invest? How do I want, what matters to me? And so, learning from these people who've been through a lot, I know their stories, and it's pretty remarkable. So Tracey, thank you so much. And I can't let you off the hook. What's life's best medicine for you? Like when you go through the hard times like we did in the lockdowns, and where do you lean on? Where do you get your strength? What do you lean on? What gives you purpose?
Oh, what an amazing question. I think life's best medicine for me is to slow down and to get quiet. I think, I've seen that what I used to do and what a lot of people do, and it's all innocent, is that when we feel lost, we speed up. We want to go harder. We want to run faster. And I've actually seen there's very little answer in that, and it just makes things look harder, and we don't get access to clarity. So for me, life's best medicine is just to slow down and just to let everything, like a snow globe, just put it down. Just let everything sort of settle down and slow. You'll be okay. And in fact, in that space, I guarantee you'll see where your next step will be and what you need to do. And then all you need to do is have the courage to follow it.
Awesome advice. Thank you, Tracey. It's so great having you, and I'm excited about the conference. And everyone, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Take a breath sometimes. We none of us get out of this thing alive, so enjoy the moment sometimes, and be able to put that pen down, or say, hey, let's just go get away for the weekend, whatever it is. I think we miss out on those things, and so connect with people around you, and go to the conference and learn a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a thrill. I've loved every second. Thank you.
No, I'm glad to have you on, and I'm glad that really we're doing this to reach people. So we all have different tacks and different ideas and different mannerisms, and some people like Tro's style and some people like my style, and so I think we all throw our just being real and saying, okay, here's how we say it, and here's what we do, and hopefully we can help some people. And if we can get guys to a conference, that's a miracle in itself. So
actually, that's right. Don't fear the sign up. It's just literally your name and your email address. That's it.
We've
all
become skeptics. We all become skeptics, but man, if you can watch it for free, and then I think a lot of people just end up having it, so you can go back and look at it again, and pick up the wisdom. And sometimes I'll go back and listen to an old podcast with Prof Noakes, or it's just a miracle that we get to talk to these people, and spend time with them and get the lifetime of wisdom that they have. So
yeah, it's the best job in the world.
I know, we're spoiled. Thanks so much for joining me, and thank you for spending your Saturday morning with me and my Friday afternoon. So
that's awesome. Loved it. Thank you.
Awesome stuff.